Hey everybody, this is Matt and Chris, and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. In fact, we are back in the shop at Texas Toast Guitars after a crazy amount of driving. And oh, that's Chris's phone yakking at us in not real time. And that's not this. I don't think it's this because my thing's turned down. Let's do that. Okay.
Okay, I'm down now. Sorry.
It was Chris's fault.
Hey, man.
Chris, can you vamp for a little while? I just got a message from Mrs. Texas Toast, who's not here.
Okay, I'm gonna vamp.
Oh crap!
There we go.
Mrs. Texas Toast just called me.
Uh-oh.
Yee, she's at work. Hold on. Chris, can you tell everyone a little bit about our exciting trip so far while I talk to Mrs. Texas Toast?
Yeah. So we're gonna go day by day, blow by blow. So Nashville is pretty darn far from Colorado, and we decided on the way out that we were going to stay with Matt's sister in Little Rock, Arkansas, and that adds some time too, and it also changes up the route. So we knew the first day that we were going to drive to Wichita, Kansas, which is about 8 hours away. It's a pretty easy drive, so we didn't get like a crazy early start because we didn't want to be like totally tapped by the time we got to Nashville and like wiped out from travel and stuff. And so we took our sweet time getting to Nashville. So the first day we drove to Wichita, and I came over and we loaded up the car, and I promptly dropped a guitar on the ground, which later proved to be the most popular guitar at the show for us. And we'll talk about that a little later. Luckily, nothing bad happened, but it seemed a little ominous there for a minute. Yeah, so we drove to Wichita, and it's kind of a, I don't want to say it's a boring drive. A lot of people think that driving through Kansas is boring, but at least it's flat and you can see stuff because it's not real tree-y. There's not a lot of trees. And yeah, and we drove to Wichita, and we ate at Texas Roadhouse, because where else would you eat in Wichita, Kansas, but the Texas Roadhouse near the airport?
It's the only place where they had Schneider beer.
And it was right next to the hotel, and we got there. It wasn't late, but traveling back that direction too, you lose time. So
we did some time traveling.
We did. I made some sports bets on games that were going to happen later, and I lost still.
Long story short, Chris is now a multi-jillionaire.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is, one of the things that is different on this, what is today?
Monday.
So we've been gone for a week.
Yeah, we left last Monday.
And we just immediately got back.
Unpacked the car and set this up.
Yeah. So one of the things is that I don't know what day it is or what time it is or any of that stuff. So one of the differences between this podcast and one of our standard Sunday podcasts is that Mrs. Texas Toast isn't here to rock the boards for us and put in witty comments like she likes to do.
Yeah.
Which she does do, and they're always funny, unless they're aimed at me, and then they're always really funny to everybody but me usually. So
yeah.
So Chris is going to try to see if we can manage some comments here.
Yeah.
But we really want to just bring everybody up to speed with our trip to NAMM and what we thought our initial impressions of the NAMM show and what we think. Tell you guys about what happened and what didn't happen, what we did, what we got to do, all the cool people that we got to meet, and tell you a little bit about what those experiences are going to mean moving forward for us. What are we going to do now that we've done it? Is there anything different?
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
So Mrs. Texas Toast is trying to call me and may or may not get through. And I think anyway, so
we have a caller.
Yeah,
go
so
ahead, caller.
If we have a caller,
you could put her on speakerphone.
We could.
Yeah. Ender St. Pierre says, good to see you guys back. Now I can fuck off at work.
Yeah, now that's another thing. Okay, so before we get into the meat and potatoes of this thing, this is going to be a really long podcast potentially.
Yeah.
It's going to be so long that it's going to, because we're going to try to get everybody that we, try to tell you the whole story. And it's going to be a long thing. So this will be the one podcast that I will annotate what we're talking about after the fact. I'll go back and actually put in the description, what, hey, if you want to hear the part where we talk about hanging out with Philip McKnight, then that'll be at minute whatever. So you can just listen, you can pick and choose. Of course I have to do the podcast before I can do that.
Yeah.
Man, that was a long drive. And it felt like everything just felt like a big blur in the car.
So
like
without giving too much away, we drove for about 13 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
And then finished it off today.
Well, so let's start at the beginning. Like Chris was saying, we
drove to Wichita.
We had a few false starts even before we left. And this guitar in the back, did you already tell?
I told the story about dropping a guitar, and it turned out to be the most popular guitar.
Yeah, there was
gave it
away.
Nothing.
Gave what away?
Nothing.
I'm not giving anything away. But yeah, there was a big ding that needed to be fixed just in the clear coat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Chris is got out the repair stuff and basically made it unseeable.
Yep.
And particularly so to people who look at stuff and pick it up and look at, for little shit like that. And yeah, no one could tell. The worst is me. I know where it is and I can't see it. So
yeah. But the funny part is the words, well, maybe we shouldn't take that guitar to NAMM came out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I can fix it. I can do this. Cause I felt really bad. Cause I said it in the car, but I said it in really stupid. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Dunk.
Oh, well.
So anyway, yeah, it all worked out fine.
So yeah, the first night, so the original plan was the drive from Denver to Nashville does not necessarily include a Little Rock, Arkansas component, but I really wanted to see my sister and my niece who live in Little Rock. So the first thing that we did was we were like, well, we'll just drive like maniacs until we get to Little Rock. Then we started doing the math.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, we won't get there till like 1 a.m.
And then you won't get to spend any time with her because we had to be in Nashville at early enough to be able to set up.
Yeah, we still had to be in Nashville for the show, which was the primary reason for this whole trip. So
it seemed like it'd be important.
But anyway, so we split the first leg of the trip up into two components. Chris was telling you we stopped in Wichita first, which is whatever, and then we drove on into to Little Rock. And one thing that is definitely a consistent feature of this trip for me was the debilitating humidity of everywhere that's not Colorado. Little Rock was horrendous.
Yeah, and it wasn't even really that hot.
No,
it was like 90 degrees, 91.
And when you listen to people who are in Little Rock, they're like, "This is awesome." That's what my sister was telling everybody how not sucky it was, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm dying."
This is a nice cool summer evening.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So we got to hang out with Catherine and who's my sister, and Sterling, who's my niece, who couldn't be cuter.
About maybe one of the cutest kids I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because she's my niece. But,
I'm not even related.
Yeah. And so she is really should have her own podcast because is way more charming than me. But and we got to eat at a Mexican restaurant that allegedly has the greatest queso in the tri-state area.
Yes.
I guess. Yeah. So, and it was pretty tasty. I can't remember the name of it, but it was good.
It was something enchilada and tamale, queso, and I don't know either.
It's no Yaris, but it was pretty good. Yeah.
And your sister's got a hot rod Mercedes SUV.
Yeah, she does.
And the roads in at least that part of Little Rock are kind of windy.
She lives in this real hilly area, and it was it was it's a great neighborhood, really cool place. Anyway,
yeah, she's got a view from her house like you wouldn't believe. Yeah, it's a really nice place.
So we get up early the next morning. We do all the the breakfast stuff, and we head into Nashville. And the drive from Nashville wasn't too bad. The drive from Little Rock to Nashville was pretty short, and we made it.
Forgot about all the driving to your sister's and all the toll roads.
Oh
that we have
yeah,
to take, which is new for us because we have toll roads, but not on major interstates.
that's right. So one of the things that we got to do by going to Little Rock was to cut through the corner of Oklahoma. And apparently, I think I want to thank all of the people who helped us out with this trip financially, because if it wasn't for you, I think we stopped like a dozen times on toll roads in Oklahoma for
like
a couple bucks a throw. Yeah.
Yeah. And and Matt pulled into the exact change only, and we had no change, and you couldn't throw dollar bills in. And
I got coins.
And the attendant opens the thing, and he's like, "I got coins. It's $2.75," and he hands me this
dollar bills, y'all. He didn't say that, but
of stuff, and it was nickels and dimes and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And
one thing that you might notice in this podcast, in addition to it's on a different day than it normally is that Chris has been around laid back country folk for a long time.
I have been.
So he's picked up a little bit of an accent
for near a week, and I really enjoy the laid back country folk, and I'm not making fun of them when I'm doing it.
It's funny because
it's just really enjoyable, and it calms me and it smooths me out.
I talked to some people, and one of a guy, excuse me, a guy at the show brought his guitar and wanted me to see it, and it looks great. But his wife is from Nicaragua, and she speaks just like a friend of mine here in Colorado who's from Argentina. And I said, like a dumb, ugly American. I'm like, hey, are you from Argentina? You sound like my friend who's from Argentina. She said, no. But it's funny how you're around people and you want to talk like that. Mrs. Texas Toast often thinks I'm making fun of her, but I'm not. I love accents. I always have. And so that's
and there's some that I really, really like. And I really like that where we were, that whole Tennessee thing is super enjoyable. And I love talking to people and listening and then, appropriating those things that they say.
Right. Culturally appropriating the Nashville accent.
Yeah. And and we can we'll talk more about that.
So Oklahoma was hot as fuck and muggy as fuck.
Yeah.
And toll roads.
And for as much as we paid in tolls, the roads weren't that great in Oklahoma.
Which must be why they're
and that's my home state. And I kept saying, I'm from here, y'all.
I know. We should have been like, he's a local. Yeah. He's a homeboy. We got hometown.
Nothing. So
so anyway, let's go back to where we're driving from Little Rock to Nashville. We drove through Memphis. Chris is like, hey, can we stop here? Nope.
And we filmed us driving through, and then all of a sudden I was like, hey, when did we get to Tennessee?
Yeah.
It's right there. We passed the sign.
One of the things that happened at the show was we had some technical difficulties with the camera. And that kind of is an interesting segue into something that happened at the NAMM show. We got a new camera for doing videos, and I want to show you guys what that is. You got anything to?
No, we're good. It's everybody saying hey, and I'd like to say hey to everybody. So yeah, it's
So I had to buy this camera. I'm not holding it like this, so I'm plugging whatever the name of this thing is. But this is our new camera for Texas Toast videos and possibly for podcasts if we can figure out how to make it work. The cool thing about this is it's 360. So if I'm doing something at my bench and you want to see what's going on over at my beloved pin router, you can just scroll your thing over and you can actually see what's going on in the shop. If I set this up in the middle of the shop, you can probably just see the whole damn shop, actually. So this is a really, really cool thing that we needed to get because we had some camera issues, and but we actually got something that's even neater than what we had. So stick around for more videos coming on that. It's going to take me figuring out how to work it, and then Mrs. Texas Toast actually figuring out how to work it and then telling me what I did wrong.
But just give it to her like a present. Hey, guess what?
I
brought you something back from Nashville.
Yeah.
It's a camera.
So my friend Bagel told me about this. And his name is actually Chris or Steve or Jeff or something, but his NAMM show thing read Bagel. And he's a cool guy, and he was telling me about it. And so I went over there. They had a show special, and so I bought it. And we're going to be bringing you guys live. Oh, the other cool thing with that is we can do live streaming to YouTube and Facebook. So we'll probably start with stuff like that. That way we won't have to edit it down. and you can just kind of see what's going on in the shop. And I think that'll be a really, really cool thing. So yeah.
Yeah. So what, we get to Nashville?
So we get to Nashville, we unload all of our stuff. You know, you kind of have to get the lay of the land at the event center. Did I mention how humid and hot it was in Nashville? And so we're kind of getting the lay of the land and, you know, moving stuff in, and, you know, we get our badges and
well, and there's a good story at the badge place too. So literally the first person we talked to, we go up and we get our badges, and she looks at it and goes, "Oh, Colorado? I was in Colorado last summer. That's a beautiful state, not just because of the drugs." Yeah,
is what I hear, and I'm like, look over, what?
Not just because of the drugs. Okay, weed.
Old lady likes weed.
Yeah, and she's like, my brother-in-law, he lost the use of his legs in an automobile accident, and they had him on painkillers because the nerves keep going, and he was about to go out of his mind on the prescription drugs. So my brother-in-law, he brought him back some of them
at the
gummies.
Guy's plight. I'm laughing at the,
he brought him back some of them gummies. He swears by him. He takes them every day. No more pain. It's like a different person. Y'all have a good show now.
And then, you know what I got? If you lose this, it's $50. Thanks, lady.
If you lose your show badge, it's $50.
$50.
The interesting thing to me is, because I haven't spent any time. This is the first time I've ever been really to Tennessee. I've driven through, but I've never actually stopped. I've never really hung out. Is instantly just how much more laid back that town is, and it was that way a little bit in Little Rock, but Memphis or Nashville. It was for me, it was noticeable. Like you get there and everything's just like, okay.
It slows right down. You're on mañana time. I think it's because, and I haven't told you guys this, I think it's because it's so hot and humid there.
Yeah, you don't move around too fast, because if you move too fast, you start getting sweaty.
Yeah. Everything is sticky. like if you this wood that we're going to show you here in a second is sticky, or was when we were there.
Yeah, no matter what, everything's sticky. Everything sticks to everything else. And so we
were definitely not used to that. Coming from, I think you could classify us as being in the high desert, I think, here in Colorado. And I'm not used to that humidity, man. That knocked me out. So we get all set up at the show, and we were in booth 2001. That's right, the Space Odyssey booth. And we noticed on the floor plan that booth 2002 is nobody's there. So we set up our stuff, and we have a 6x8 booth, and you know, it's sort of what the small booth is, and if you're paying your dues, that's the booth you get. And but booth 2002 was unmanned, and booth 2003 had not been set up yet. So I pulled the divider between 2001 and 2002 and all the stuff, and sort of hid it behind the back curtain. And we didn't like start to melt into 2002 yet. We figured, all right, if we can, we will, but if we, you know what I mean, if somebody shows up and is actually in 2002, we don't have a bunch of shit in their booth. So so long story, a little bit shorter. The next day, and we haven't finished Wednesday. When did the show
Wednesday
start? We haven't finished Wednesday yet, but Thursday when we got there, no one was in 2002. So we had a 12x8 booth when it was all said and done, because of some larceny on our part. So,
but
we'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So get all the booths set up, and it's looking really good. You know, we're kind of wandering around, you know, talking to some people that we know, and just kind of getting the lay of the land and figuring out what we need to do. And we get a message from Brian Nutter. And as it turns out, he had been up since like 6 o'clock the day before, 6 o'clock in the morning the day before. And he is teaching at his class at the MIT school in Nashville. It's a guitar building school. And he's like, hey, you guys should come by and, you know, hang out and keep me awake because I got to be here till 10 o'clock. So, so that's what we did. So we grabbed a bite and headed out. And we got to hang out with Brian Nutter and a lot of the cool guys who work or are students and were working at the MIT school there.
And how many students were there?
Well, there was a day class, which we missed. And then there was a night class. And I want to say there was easily half dozen,
Yeah, I was thinking there were
eight guys,
6
something
to
like
8.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
And they all had projects and
Uh-huh.
really nice looking facilities. So it's in like an old, I don't know, car detailing place or something.
What did he say was in there before? He said there was a record store in there at one point, like a
Okay.
big record store, and that he'd spent a ton of money in there over the
Okay.
years, and it didn't look like a record store anymore. But
Yeah, it looks
was
like a full-on wood shop. So
yeah, and they have like the classroom area and the bench area, and then they have the tool room area, and that was cool. And it was cool to see the tools that they had in there too.
Yeah. So anyway, so we find the place after much consternation and backing and forth, and we find this place because we don't know, we're not Nashvilleans, Villians. So we're having the Google map thing and my car
and issues
map
with
deal
that.
and yeah. Anyway, we finally find the place. We walk right in and awesome place. So we get to hang out with Brian. We get to hang out with all those guys. I remember. So anyway, so Brian's taking us on a tour of this facility. If you guys are looking for a guitar building school, at least check it out. I'm not going to say that, it has I endorse it because I don't really know what they do there, but it sure looks good to me. And you might want to go check it out, especially if you are in the Nashville area. One of the things that was interesting was Brian said that it was actually owned by the same guy who owns ESP guitars. So under that brand umbrella, there's lots and lots of cool things that they kind of have access to that you may or may not have access to if your owner doesn't also own ESP guitars. So lots of guitars, that were like factory made things that had an issue. They couldn't sell the guitar, but are really excellent vehicles for practice refretting and practice finish work and do that. So there's got to be a repair component and a building component at that school. Did you? I don't know.
I think so. And I think that one of the projects for that night, because Brian was tired, was do your own project, but also refret a neck.
Study hall.
Study hall.
Yeah. So there were lots of guys working on necks and I don't think that they had to be their guitar. I'm sure you could bring in your own stuff.
Yeah, I think you could. The one guy had a neck that didn't seem like it was off one of the projects. I didn't see any of the rest of the guitar.
Which guy?
It might have been his. The rocket scientist guy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's a legitimate rocket scientist there.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy right in front of us. And then there were guys that were pulling apart some other stuff that they had in back and doing that. Because we were there for
a good 4 hours.
Probably, yeah. And Brian's trying to work on his stuff and we're using up all his time.
We basically eliminated his ability to work on his own stuff. Maybe so much so that he didn't get everything done that he needed to get
I think
done.
He was totally frazzled, and I think he was totally fine with us. Yeah, taking up his time. He took us for a tour of the place, and then he's like, "I got to show you something." And he takes us out into this warehouse space that they have. Can I pull that stuff out?
Yeah. So it's a giant warehouse.
Yeah,
and the facility at the school is big, much bigger than Roberto Venn was when I went there in the 80s. I haven't been back to Roberto Venn to see what it's like now, but I would like to do that too. I just haven't done it.
Junk.
I got my junk all in the way here. So Brian takes us out into this big warehouse. One of the other things that's cool about the place is even though the school's not owned by someone who owns Gibson is in Nashville.
That's me.
Is that your phone? So apparently that when Gibson has stuff that they want to donate as a tax write-off or whatever to people at schools, it's like, well, hey, we'll just drive that truck over there to the MIT school and give all that stuff to the guys there. So some of the things that they have is a giant pallet of this stuff.
A giant pallet of each.
Yeah. So this is a rosewood board, and I don't know why Gibson isn't using this. I suspect it's because it's pretty slim. Let me get this in the camera. It is under a 1/4 inch, but it's a real nice piece of rosewood.
Some of the nicest, and it's finished on all this. I mean, it's man, it's more than ready to go, and it's nice.
I think and it might be that, or it might be, hey, get rid of this because we'll get arrested if we have it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
How many boards do you think were in there?
How about this? It was a 4 foot by 4 foot pallet that was easily 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
Stacked with these boards.
5,000 boards.
I don't have any idea.
Yeah. It was
how many jelly beans?
Insane.
So
yeah.
And that's what Brian said. He's like, hey, how many fretboards are in there? And I'm all just like, hey, man, can I have some of those fretboards? So
the answer was yes.
Yeah, so that was kind of a Mitch Hedberg kind of thing that I did there. We listened to a lot of the Comedy Channel on the way down and back.
All right, so rosewood boards.
So yeah, Brian hooked us up with just a handful of these things. Yeah. I don't even know if it's okay for us to like tell everyone that we got.
I think it is.
Okay. Yeah. Then there was some ebony heartwood fretboards. Now these are super cool because they're nice and thick. Now they need to be ground down, but they're obviously not the kind of lumber that you would want to use, say, on a Les Paul Custom on account of it's got this big chunk of heartwood in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine, guys, this is probably why Gibson has switched to Richlite, because there's no waste like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all jet black and it's all the right thickness and there's no occlusions. And it's all usable. So I think that's probably why.
So would you say this is the nicest of these that we got?
It's certainly the the darkest.
It's mine
of them.
I've claimed this as mine. I'll put my name on it now.
There was also some that was all heartwood that I can't remember what they called it.
Moon something.
I want to say they called it pale moon ebony.
Pale moon, yeah. And
this is a piece of ebony, and it's just very, very light. So ebony comes in all shapes and sizes. It's like we say all the time, there's ebony and then there's ebony.
I think it's gonna be cool to make something with it.
Yeah. So we'll definitely do that. If you guys have any suggestions on what kind of thing we ought to do with that.
And what was the other thing that they had in there? Boxes and boxes and boxes of it.
Boxes and boxes of Gibson binding that was unique in that it had a tiny, like a 10,000th or 20,000th sliver of binding that poked out the side,
like a tongue.
Yeah, almost like if there was a groove in the side of the body, it would keep the binding from riding up. I'm not sure what it was for. Brian didn't know what it was for, and when I went by the Gibson booth at the NAMM show, they had several. Like, hey, here's what we do at Gibson. Here's a guy who, binds stuff every day, and he's going to show you how to bind a guitar. They didn't have little plastic, training wheel binding bits like that. So we didn't take any of that stuff. It's, at some point, it was very, very generous of Brian to give us all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we talked with a lot of the guys who were at the school. One guy in particular, did you already tell that story? So one guy in particular comes up to Chris and says,
well, he says, so Brian introduces us at the beginning of the show. He's like, hey, this is Matt and Chris from Texas Toast Guitars in Colorado. And, they're builders, blah,
to
blah,
the
blah.
guy, no one had any idea who the fuck we were.
Yeah, they didn't, unfortunately, which I thought was kind of sad because we're doing all the same stuff they're doing. But anyway, so this one guy, we're just kind of standing around. He's working on a neck and he looks up at me and he goes, hey, so you're from Colorado? I thought, we're going to talk about weed.
Yeah. You got any weed?
Yeah, you got any weed? And I go, and I start walking over to him. And I said, yeah, we're from Colorado. And he goes, do you like Buckethead? And I was like, oh, yeah. Is there a Buckethead Colorado connection that I'm not aware of? No, I just like talking about Buckethead.
Like Buckethead a lot.
He's like one of my favorite guys. And I was at the Gibson custom shop today, and they had a Buckethead guitar, and they're talking about making that oversized Buckethead guitar again.
The important part of the story that you guys have to get is not that this guy likes Buckethead, but everybody there was having a great time making guitars and building their own stuff. And they're in Nashville, where they must have some sort of like hall pass to go to Gibson and look around at stuff, or I don't know how that works.
I don't know
But
either.
we didn't get invited to go to the
Yeah,
Gibson custom
yeah.
shop. That's for sure.
Apparently, the school has some
They got some juice.
well, some follow up after they graduate
It
the
sounds
school
like it. Yeah.
and repair jobs and
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. And the other thing, because really, I don't know Buckethead from anybody. I'm aware that there is a guy named Buckethead who has a bucket on his head while he plays guitar. I
Yeah.
hear he plays very, very well.
Yeah, and he's like a
And that's
master
about
shredder
all I
guy.
got. Yeah, he played with Guns N' Roses for a while. He took
Mhm.
Slash's place. Okay, that's what I know about Buckethead.
That's all I know about Buckethead.
Yeah, so I didn't want to seem like too much of a square, but also, you know, and there's a bunch of younger kids in the class.
Mhm.
I actually heard the phrase during the song "Why Can't This Be Love?"
I thought it was Yankee Rose.
Well, no, that's a different story.
Okay.
Why can't this be love? Hey, is this Van Halen?
Oh.
No, this isn't Van Halen. And then later, David Lee Roth, Yankee Rose came on, and somebody said, "See, this is my favorite era of Van Halen."
Mine too.
Yeah, which isn't Van Halen. So, and it's that kind of stuff's, yeah, it's fun because it's old music. So
yeah. So anyway, though, all the guys there were having a lot of fun. They weren't just young guys either.
No.
We talked to. I sat down and talked with this guy Mike, who was, I don't remember everybody's name, but I remember Mike primarily because he came and hung out with me at the NAMM show, and
he has a cool stash of wood.
Oh yeah, Mike has. I can't. That's kind of a secret for Mike, and you know, and he might let me have some of it. He might let me buy some of it.
So he had his project that he was working on, his class project, and this neck, and it was
loaded,
really flamey. And then there was a top that he kept talking about that somebody had procured from him that was as flamey that they were gluing together. And so it was like, where did you get this wood? Well, I bought a out of Luthier several years ago, and there's some big.
I think what
chunks.
it was a guitar maker was renting a room from his family or renting a space from his family's they had like a shop or something, and he just left, and he left all this stuff and didn't pay the bill. So they're like, well, okay, I guess you can. So it was his mom's rental property or something. Anyway, he's got kind of a pretty awesome secret stash of flame maple. Yeah. And so Mike, if you are watching this at any point in the history of this video, let me know, send me an email, and we'll talk. So, but yeah, really cool people, really cool school. And it was great to hang out with Brian in a shop environment, because I love shops. I like hanging out in shops, even if they're not mine, sometimes, especially if they're not mine. So, and if you guys are interested in going to a guitar building school and you want to live in the Nashville area, that's definitely one to check out. So,
yeah. And then,
so Brian gave us a bunch of great places to go while we were in Nashville. Now, because he is who he is, all the places that he recommended are, I think you said it best, places to hide when you're going out in Nashville.
Yeah.
And I want to say that the words, best of all, no live music, came out of his mouth.
That was exactly what he said. Yeah. He said, where are you staying? And we told him, he's like, oh, I know the perfect place. It's
one of my favorite
literally
places.
Next door. Yeah. They got this, and this, and best of all, no live music.
Yeah.
Ever.
And they did have Schneider.
They did.
So I was good to go.
Yeah. Because Brian doesn't want to hear and Brian doesn't want to play.
Yep.
Anymore.
Yeah. I think he's in the spot exactly where he wants to be. So.
Yeah. So that turned out to be true a couple of different times.
But so we went and had some beers there and called it a night.
And then the next day got up and had
the finest breakfast you have ever had at a Marriott.
The other funny part of staying at the Marriott is where do we park? Well, we have valet parking for $35 a day.
We got nickeled and dimed by everybody,
especially in the downtown thing. Yeah. Or you can just park your car yourself in the same lot for $30 a day, but
for $30 every time you pass
it's $5 to $10 every time you take the car out, you access the car. So really you should just pay for the valet.
Yeah.
And that was it. I mean, we could drive around and try and find a spot on the street.
Now, before somebody says, hey, you guys, asked for a bunch of money on GoFundMe and now you're staying at the Marriott. One of my sisters works for Marriott, so we got a smoking deal on a hotel room at the Marriott downtown.
Yeah, and we got kind of a late start on NAMM, so there wasn't a whole lot of stuff that was close by that was available.
Yeah.
So
But anyway, we got we got a good deal on that deal too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So our first day at the NAMM show was great. So we get to the NAMM show. And by the way, they stuck us for parking at the NAMM show too, which why wouldn't they? It was another $20 every single time you went to that
and
parking lot.
we're kind of used to that going to NAMM, but the valet thing was new to me, which is funny.
Yeah. So all of our stuff is at the NAMM show. We show up looking great, and no one's in 2002. So we just sort of start to morph into the 2001 and 2 booth space, which is the one good thing about our booth was that it was a double wide.
Yeah. We may have gotten the last booth that, they sold.
Yeah. The bad part about our booth was it was in the butthole of the show. It was at the very, very, very tail end of the show. And at the opposite end of the hall was really where all the action was, and where we were, there was a men's room.
Yeah, and a big black curtain that blocked us from seeing anything else in front of our booth.
Oh, and blocked people from seeing us
exactly.
So unless you were right on top of our booth, you would not see it.
Yeah, and if you walked one certain direction towards our booth, it sort of looked like there was nothing left after Brian Nutter's booth.
Yeah,
who was 5 away.
Brian was 4 or 5 away from us.
So we tried to take advantage of angles and getting and drawing people in. So
guitars like this one actually worked to our advantage on that. So we day one was great. It was almost immediately people started to come to the booth. Like PJ came and his buddies.
And PJ was on here earlier too. Hey PJ.
Yeah, so he was
doing well.
He was there and hung out with us for a while. That was really great.
Yeah.
He's been following us for a while, and this is another thing this was something that came up over and over and over again on our trip and our NAMM show experience was how many veterans get something good out of creativity, building guitars, and working through whatever it is that they have to work through. There's something about the creative process, and there's something about particularly guitars and music that guys like Mike, who was in Brian's class, our buddy from New Mexico, it just happens all the time. I hear, even Sergeant Bishop says that he has some PTSD that he's working through, and this is something that is really, really helpful to him. So so that's a really positive thing. And you guys, if you have any interest in donating to veterans groups, or any interest at all in doing something for vets or giving back to vets, I would urge you to find places that give those guys a cool creative outlet. Whether it's, I don't know, it doesn't have to be making guitars, but man, making music and guitars sure seem to be something that those guys dig. Mostly because those guys are American guys and they like rock and roll music. And so it's like, oh, right on, guitars. I like that.
Yeah.
But
and you can be creative several different ways.
Of course. But I'm sure sculpting or painting or any of that stuff would go a long way to giving those guys a little bit of a break from the spiders that they got crawling around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that means a lot to us. And it means a lot to those guys too. So if you've got money that you want to donate, I urge you to put that money into things that vets can create creative outlets for vets.
Or time. You
got
some time too. Yeah. So PJ kept coming back by and he'd tell us more stories and then he'd wander off.
Those dudes were like hitting the margaritas and going for it.
And all his friends, Dave, I think it was actually Al and Greg. But they were all Dave.
Those guys were having a blast. And so my sister and my niece both came from Little Rock that same day. So I didn't get a lot of chance to hang out with guys and go out for margaritas after the show. But so I'm sorry if I didn't get a chance to have beers and margaritas with everybody that I want to, but you know how it is. There's only so much time.
Yeah. So what did you think of the show on Thursday?
I'm still kind of, it's still kind of blurry, the whole thing,
Yeah.
So the Summer NAMM show is considerably smaller than the Winter NAMM show,
Yeah.
which we knew going in.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say that we were told the Summer NAMM show is considerably more guitar centric than the Winter NAMM show, and it absolutely is. Now, that does not mean that there's no, DJ gear and Kodak 360 cameras and tubas and stuff. There's some of that, but for the most part, it's guitars and amps. So based on what I know now, I would say that for us, how about this? I would much rather be in the tail end of the Summer NAMM show floor than the tail end of the Winter NAMM show floor.
Yeah.
It would be so much easier to get completely lost in the mix at Winter NAMM for us.
Yeah.
For the same size booth in the same crappy location. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So on Thursday, to me, the vibe was first day of the show. People are walking around. They're a little overwhelmed. I heard that from a bunch of people. Who were like, "This is the first time I've ever been here. This is a lot to take in." And people would walk by and they were like afraid to engage you, even if you were friendly. And they were afraid to touch anything, and they were just kind of like shocked at all of it. And the people,
and it didn't help that when they would walk past me, I'd go, "What, you think you're better than me?" I didn't do that. Okay, I did that one time, but
but as it went on, and then actually Thursday afternoon, then all of a sudden there was like this calm that swept over the entire place. And I think really what it was everybody started drinking. Or maybe it was just me.
Now, one thing that was absolutely the same at the Winter NAMM show and the Summer NAMM show was $8 beers.
They were $7 or $8 for
depending on what
the name brand stuff or the good stuff.
Even the cheap shit was $7 or $8.
But here's more of that laid back, Tennessee thing. You walk up and I'm like, I'll take Coors Light and a Corona, and the guy hands me glass bottles. I was like, glass, really? He's like, yeah, the floor's carpeted.
How else are you gonna do it?
I said, well, at other things like this, they usually give you plastic cups.
Not here,
no,
buddy.
man. So what are you gonna start throwing them at each other?
Yeah,
I think he might have said that.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, I was like, well, no, but yeah, you guys are way more laid back and way more trusting on all of this stuff. Which is also cool. I love that.
Now, I guess my thing was, if I never go back to the Winter NAMM show, that's probably fine. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be missing anything by not going to that. On the other hand, I think I had more fun at the Nashville show. You can do more in less time at the Nashville show. And you can pretty much see just about everybody. So there was, Gibson was there and Fender was there. Paul Reed Smith was conspicuously absent. And I think they just stopped doing it. Marshall was there. Hiwatt was there. All your favorites were there with a couple of exceptions. The Boutique Guitar Showcase was there. Woohoo! Did I tell you I talked to Jamie Gale from the Boutique Showcase? I didn't do that until the second day. But okay, so day one actually was pretty good. We handed out a lot of cards, and one of the things that we had a 10 guitar display that was spread out all over the place, and we had a little amp, and people could come and play the guitars. We had a video of right before the show. I made this video where it was just a bunch of pictures of guitars set to my intro music, which was done by Brett Hagen and the Electric Boogie Dogs. So we had that going the whole time, and it's I don't know how many pictures it is, but it's like 5 seconds of each picture, and the video's 18 minutes long. So there's a bunch. I should post that to YouTube now.
Yeah, we were talking about doing that.
So if you guys want to see the video, it's really long and it's really annoying because it's just got the same song over and over.
You can turn it down.
Yeah, but you can turn it
down.
So I'll post that to YouTube later tonight or maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you guys can watch that too.
So what else happened Thursday? Jeff Quatra and his buddy Miguel came by.
Yeah, so Velvet Jeff came by and was hanging out with us. He came by both days. Both days. It was 3 days, but he came by the first 2 days. One of the things that we were a little bit disappointed to hear was that no Ace Frehley.
Yeah.
It was, I guess, some heavy hitter names, and I think what it turned out to be was the people who played in those people's bands now did a show. So you got to hear all the, Ace Frehley stuff that you'd hear at a concert, but you just didn't get to see Ace, but you got to see Jeremy and those dudes playing. And I'm sure, you know what, there's a lot of those things where, like, what was it? Epiphone's having LA Guns play.
Yeah.
And who knows how many people in LA Guns are the same guys anymore. So
it was apparently pretty cool.
And hell, man, Kiss is a tribute band anyway. So I was telling those guys a story. Apparently the Super Suckers had a CD release party one time, and they hired a Super Suckers tribute band to be them, so they could just sit around and drink and party with everybody and have fun. So anyway, so the first day of the NAMM show was great. We had a lot of interest in our stuff. We were able to do some walking around, and I didn't get to do a whole lot of looking at other people's stuff.
No,
but I did get a chance to kind of peek and glance. And one of the things that I wanted to do was really get a gut check of our instruments and how we stack up against everybody else. Now, not compare like, well, are ours as good, or, do people like ours as much as they like theirs? Really more like, is our construction, are we ready to go live? You know what I mean? Are we ready for prime time? And based on what I saw at the show, I think we're in a great spot. Not because everybody else sucked, but because everybody else was really good, and I thought ours looked very, very good by comparison too. In evidence, I even had several people, to include some people who are fairly picky guys, tell me the same thing. So I felt really good about our presence at the show and our ability to build an instrument that stacks up against other companies.
Yeah, we had tons of positive comments, tons of people coming by, looking at them, playing them for quite a while. Lots of people. There's a certain contingency at the show that are there just to look at the stuff. They're not necessarily interested in buying. They're not even necessarily interested in guitars, but they would walk by and they would see something and they'd go, that is really great looking, or your guitars look really, really good.
Yeah. The attitude at the NAMM show is very different from, say, like the Dallas Guitar Show, where everything's for sale.
Right.
So it's like, here's the stuff that we sell. You just can't buy it right now. So if you were in Dallas and you were at someone's booth and you had $60K in your pocket, you could buy that vintage Strat.
Yeah.
You can just walk out with it right there. At the NAMM show, you can't go up to the Gibson booth and go, hey, I want that 335.
Yeah.
Here's my, shut up and take my money. There's nothing like that. As a matter of fact, for the most part, unless you file all the tax stuff, like I think the people at Canon did, and it's Canon, so they can
Kodak.
Kodak. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I think they have some sway, and they know how to work taxes, and they can figure out how to do it. But little guys like us, we would have to do it on the sly. But I guess what I'm getting at is, you don't have to drink too many $8 beers to run out of cash in your pocket of the people at the show. So
yeah. And there's people that own little music stores. I talked to several of them, and there's people that are work for a big chain that are there, and there's people that are in the music industry. There's tons and tons and tons of people that you'd look at their badge and you'd go, oh, so what do you Telluride Music, tell me about that. That's the guy that got me in the show. Cool. Yeah.
Or sometimes you would see Gibson. There was a lot of people from Gibson walking around.
There were a lot of guys from Gibson walking around.
Even the new CEO. I saw the new CEO of Gibson several times. I didn't see Mark Agnesi, but
I saw Mark.
Did you? Okay. Again,
he was like a celebrity.
He's a celebrity.
No, he really was. He was posing for pictures. He was standing around. I mean, he looked like him. It didn't look like he was, getting beat up too bad.
No.
Because I think for everybody that's we should talk about that. Maybe now's the time.
Let's do it.
For the people. Yeah. For every guy that says, I'll never buy another Gibson, there's another guy that's like, oh, that's that guy that was on that video.
Yeah. For everybody who says, I'll never buy a Gibson. You show me a guy who says, I'll never buy another Gibson ever again. And I'll show you a guy who probably has never bought a Gibson.
And Nashville is Gibson country. and
Yeah.
they had the biggest booth. They had the most guitars. They had a live
Far
stage
and away the
with
biggest booth.
with killer players every
Yeah.
second of the day.
Yeah.
There was somebody on that stage that was crushing it, and their booth was packed the entire time. I
Yeah.
saw nothing that said anybody has anything but happy thoughts about Gibson at the show.
Yep.
And
I think it's fun to make fun of that video, but at the same time, Gibson's not going anywhere, guys.
no, they're not.
And I would say that their presence at the Nashville show was considerably bigger than their presence at the Winter show, which was huge.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, because it's just one room and they're
Mhm.
open more to the public
Mhm.
than being in an enclosed room like they are at the
Yeah.
Winter show. And they were front and center.
Yeah.
And and their
They
booth
built
was
a
open
little
and-
town.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, so it took Chris and I,
Yeah.
2 hours to tear all our shit down and make 5 trips back and forth to the car,
Uh-huh.
to the parking lot, to the booth. Those guys were going to be there for a good. They were just going to be there all night tearing that. There was walls all the way around. You had went into the Gibson fort.
Well, kind of, except it was open on the side, so you could
Yeah.
actually see their
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
So
true.
it was
That's
somewhat
true.
inviting. Like Fender's was enclosed on all 4
Mhm.
sides with a little entryway.
Yeah,
And
they had
Gibson's
like
was
a
open.
pretty decent sized security guard at that entryway, as I recall.
They may have, yeah. And Gibson had, if they didn't have every single model and every single color that they make,
I'd have
it
been
was
shocked.
darn close.
Yeah.
Because they had everything, and they had their Kramers, and they had
Mhm.
Epiphone, and they had
Mhm.
just this row and row of Gibsons. And I'll be straight up honest with everybody. I looked at a couple of them. I didn't look at a ton of them. They looked great.
Yeah.
From it's not like I held it. It's not like I played it, but I got eyeball to eyeball with some of those. And
So what you're saying is
really
one of
good.
the oldest guitar companies in the United States knows how to build a guitar.
Well, yeah, but there's always the ever since blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Gibson's just not the same. I don't know, man. Their stuff looked pretty nice
It
to me.
sure looked good to me. And maybe they were all show guitars, but there were so many of them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't think that's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they look at them, but it's not like they're culling through thousands of guitars for the 10 good ones.
Yeah.
And so and it's Gibson.
Here's my thing. Let's go back to how did we stack up against everybody else?
Yeah,
I think we stacked up just fine with
Mm.
even some companies like Gibson in terms of first look stuff. You know what I mean? So if you had a brand new, okay, so say for the sake of conversation, you could find someone who's lived under a rock for a while and has no idea that Gibson's a guitar company and Texas Toast is a guitar company. Had no idea that a Les Paul was a Les Paul or that our thing is our thing. And you hand them both the guitar, I think they would look very equally good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was nothing that was stood out to me as
Yeah.
now. No, but as I told just about every single person who came by, look, these are 1% guitars that if you don't like the story behind the Texas Toast guitars, then you're probably gonna buy a Gibson or a Fender, and that's fine. Those guys make I'll never make the same number of guitars in a year that Gibson and Fender make in a day.
Yeah.
So and that's okay. We do what we do, and it's not a zero-sum game. There's plenty of opportunity for everybody to do this. So
Yeah.
so you got any comments that we need to address? Or
No, it's mostly everybody's just kind of talking among themselves, which
Okay.
is good because I'm doing a terrible job of keeping up with
okay.
with things. But Terry G&G is moderating too, which is cool.
Oh,
Thank
cool.
you for
Thanks,
doing
Terry.
that. And and all sorts of people are here. Big
How many-
D's here. He says, yeah, we did have a terrible booth.
So yeah, we did
Thanks,
talk.
man.
We talked to Big D Guitars. Yeah.
And yeah.
What? How many dislikes do we have now? Before we even started, there was
dislikes?
3
I don't know,
dislikes.
man.
I'm like,
I can't get there from here.
That's fine. I don't really care. This was
So-
funny to me that the 3 Jagoffs have already disliked it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
before
Well, I
we even
clicked it, and
started.
then I turned, and then I
Like I said,
clicked it,
Jagoff,
so,
yeah.
Thanks.
So after the first day of the show, let's just wrap this one up. We went out and got drunk. Okay. All right. Day 2.
we went to Broadway, and Yeah.
Oh, that's right. There was like an axe throwing bar.
Yeah, we were at the axe throwing bar,
Mhm.
but we weren't in the axe throwing section.
No.
And
No,
yeah.
apparently, if you have a 5-year-old, that's not like the greatest spot for you.
People are all weirded out about taking a 5-year-old to a bar. I don't
And
understand
where they
that.
throw axes.
Where they throw axes. Yeah, really, any bar. I think there were
Mhm.
signs in a lot of them that was, 21 and up.
Rookie mistake that I made first day, I didn't eat anything.
Oh, yeah.
That was a dumb. I drank a bunch of beer and that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so rookie mistake.
Yeah, so Matt was getting hangry, and
Mhm.
then he ate and he was fine.
And then he ate and he was fine.
Yep. Okay, so that was Thursday.
You guys had a pickle flight somewhere too.
Oh yeah, we went.
Pickle flight.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It wasn't awesome. There was only like 3 or 4 pickles and then a bunch of other weird crap.
Yeah,
carrots,
yeah, and you would think something
beans.
called a pickle flight would have several different kinds of pickles. No,
Has
just
had
one kind of pickle.
one kind of pickle and 3 other pickled
beans
things.
and okra and carrots.
Yeah.
And I don't care what you soak a carrot in, it's still a carrot.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's my least favorite vegetable of all time, next to celery. And I was actually surprised there wasn't any celery in there. And it was, it was
$10.
not good. It was $10. It was
Yeah.
terrible, and we didn't pay for it. We didn't buy it.
Did we not?
I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, we did not. That was not even with the GoFundMe money. That was somebody
Okay.
else's pickle flight that I got
Somebody
to take
else's
advantage
pickle
of.
money.
Yeah, and I tried to eat a really rock hard carrot, and then the funny thing was the pickle wasn't even any good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, out of all of that, the beans were the best part.
Just give me a whole jar of Vlasics for $10.
Exactly.
Give me a $4 jar of Vlasics for $10 and say it's a pickle flight.
Pickle flight. Yeah, slice them up in different ways and
Yep.
pretend they're different pickles. Yeah. So that was that.
So the second day was definitely better than the first in terms
Mhm.
of the whole mood of the show.
Yep.
And we got wise when
Yep.
it came to beer. And I'm going to go get some beers while you tell everybody what we did.
So I don't even know what to say. So we went to breakfast at the same place that we got the pickle flight because it was next door to the hotel, and that seemed like a good idea. And so we went there for breakfast, and then we went to the show, and kind of started the whole thing over again. And Friday, the mood was a little lighter than it was on Thursday. I think people were a little more used to what was going on at the show, and that people weren't going to bite. And and it might have been even a different group of people having a thing that you come in from out of town on a Thursday seems kind of weird. So there were, just more people there, and it was actually a lot busier.
Yeah.
It was pretty busy on Thursday, but Friday was starting to
They
get
picked up the pace.
kind of nutty. Yeah. And lots of people playing the guitars and liking them. And this is the first time that we've ever exhibited, and I didn't really know what to expect. And you don't really know, you have all these answers in your head to questions that people are going to ask you, but you're never really sure what your sales pitch is going to be, or what your, what this or that is going to be.
It changed every day too. So one of the things that I noticed we were getting asked a lot on the first day was, who imports these?
Yeah.
I'm
Several
like,
people asked. Yeah. Where? Yeah.
What Asian factory are these made in?
Yeah. Because we think that everybody knows, we make these guitars, and really there's a bunch of companies that do that. They don't
a bunch of companies that were there.
They import. Exactly. Yeah. And you walk by and you're like, oh, they couldn't possibly have made all those. Those have to be imports. But we brought 10 guitars.
No one knows how to make stuff.
Yeah, nobody.
Yeah.
No. And so who makes these? Well, we do.
So I started leading off my sales pitch every single time with, all these are made at my shop, at my place.
Yeah.
By me and Chris.
Yeah. And then they'd be like, oh, and you do all of it?
Who does the paint work for you?
Yeah.
This is a great segue into my very favoriteest thing that happened at the show in terms of sales pitch. My new favorite sales pitch is to tell everyone who paints all the guitars. There you go.
Mm-hmm. It's me.
That's it. It's Chris.
It's
so
Chris.
So Chris is a master painter.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell people that you master paint all the time. Sometimes you master paint for 4 or 5 times a day.
Sometimes I master paint for 4 or 5 hours.
Yes, sometimes in a row. Yeah.
You want me to do it again? Yes, please.
I
Yeah,
and they're
he
like,
said it so many
I
times, and he
did.
said it to so many people that I thought, this is the wrong person to say that to. The
Really?
little old lady who then eventually wanted us to sign her boobs.
Yeah.
All,
Yes.
I mean, she'd probably be
Not
mad that
her
I
boobs, but her
called her a
shirt.
little old lady, because she wasn't a little old lady. She was
So a
an
lady
older
came up to
lady.
us and some fans, which I
Yeah,
didn't realize that
yeah.
I don't know why we have fans. How about this? Someone who watches the videos and enjoys them. I don't know, fan, it might be too strong a word. She put a book or something in her shirt.
She did.
So that we could sign her shirt.
But only because she had a run-in with Paul Reed Smith, who wouldn't sign without the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She wanted Paul Reed Smith to sign her Paul Reed Smith shirt, and she stood up and she's like, right here. And he said he wouldn't because there were cameras around and he didn't want to.
Yeah, Paul's not gonna fall for that one. Yeah.
So she put a book in her shirt and she comes up and she's like, I want you to sign
How
my
about that?
chest. Yeah.
Which took me by surprise.
She also grabbed my butt.
Did
while
she?
we were taking a photo. Yeah. She
nice.
did. Yeah.
She was, yes, there's this cool lady who
super awesome and super fun to
actually,
talk
and
to
their whole
group.
family. Yeah, we've talked to it's Jesse from Springfield, and we've talked to him a bunch.
His dad,
his brother,
sorry,
or maybe his brother-in-law. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that was early, and they seeked us out first thing. They're like, we walked in through the door and we beelined it over to where you were.
Yeah,
and I believe them because it was like
it was pretty early. Yeah. So we also talked with another guy that we talked to every day was Chris from Retro Guitars in Ohio. Really great guy who is buddies with Eric at Stuart McDonald. And he came by and, told us, hey man, I watch your videos and I started using Simtex Sealer because of you guys, and thanks. And so it's actually really cool to know that people are getting something out of what we do, and far and away the fabrics were the most popular. You want to switch out guitars?
Well, let's just talk about that. I mean, let's just be straight up honest.
What do you mean?
I mean, this was the most popular guitar.
It was, but we also have the second most popular guitar. Hanging up, and I want
and this guitar every time I turned around, and it was usually the people that didn't really have any interest in guitars. They were there just kind of making the scene, but there were a million people that walked up and took a picture of this guitar,
snapping pictures
of it, and I'd stand back and I'd look at
mostly
how they were, and it
mostly
was
ladies.
This guitar. Lots of ladies, lots of guys, lots of just tons of women liked it. Yeah.
So there you go, guys. If you need an excuse to buy another guitar, Chicks Dig It is definitely a good one, and they dig that one, that's for sure. We talked with a handful of YouTube personalities. Our friend Ben Coombs came by, and it's always great to see him. We did a video with Ben. I don't know when it's going to air. This is Ben's video, not my video. It's Ben's video. One of the things that happened, again, our camera kind of took a dump, and it's a bummer, but I don't have a whole lot of any footage of the show.
No, and it's loud in there, and you're busy, and you don't really want to miss anybody, so you don't spend a lot of time not paying attention to what's going on in the booth. And the other thing too,
I miss talking to several people because I was doing videos with other people.
Luckily, I was there to take up the slack, and I'm super good at talking to people. So I'm not really, but and the other thing that we decided to do was engage everybody that more than walked by, and even sometimes you'd engage people that would just glance your way. And
this thing was crazy popular. Which this is another one that wasn't like the day before we left, or the day that we left we were thinking about not taking it. We were thinking about not taking this one weeks before. We're like, man, this is weird.
And the other guitar, the Paisley guitar, that's the one I dropped. And we almost didn't take it. But I was like, no, we can fix it, and we did. But those two guitars, and it was kind of 50-50. If they liked this one, that one was okay, and if they liked that one, this one was okay. But almost everybody, those were the guitars.
The other one that was crazy popular was the non-reverse Firebird that John did the leather pickguard for. People
that one was
dug
really
the leather
popular
pickguard
too.
You know who dug the leather pickguard the most was the young man from this band called Weird Girl, and they have a song called Texas Toast, and they came up there like, I can't believe your Texas Toast guitars. We have a song called that. And another guy came up. He was like, "You got to hear about this band, Texas Toast Chainsaw Massacre in Chicago. They those dudes are crazy fun. They're yeah." And so we were talking to those guys. And the second most. Okay, wait, let me back up. So that young man was the guy who liked. Wait a minute, he's the. Okay, there was another guy who actually wanted to buy that guitar. Chris wanted to buy that guitar.
The Thunderbird.
Yeah, the Firebird, the non-reverse, and so I bet you that guitar is probably already sold to that guy.
Yeah, and he was cool, and it was interesting hearing him talk about it and hearing his. And he's like, this is your vision of what this guitar is supposed to look like, and I really dig that part of it. And
he liked it so much that he wanted to throw money
for
at
it. Yeah,
but again, there's weird tax things that we can't do.
Yeah,
the guy who liked it the second the most was the guy from Weird Girl, and the guy who liked it third most was none other than Bo Duke.
Come
on. That's right. John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard TV show was there at the NAMM show, and he stopped by our booth.
Yeah. And there's a whole story behind that.
Let's
talk about that.
Let him have it.
So
Because I was doing something else.
Yeah,
while
you were doing something else. Yeah, you were talking to somebody else. You were master painting.
I wasn't talking to Tom Wapat, that's for sure.
No, and I'm standing there talking to Velvet Jeff and his buddy
Hans from the
Shazam. Yeah, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy walking kind of towards. Well, he's walking towards the bathroom. Let's be honest.
The one saving grace to our booth was bathroom adjacent.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's John Schneider, and I give him one of these, and he gives me a.
And here's the thing: John Schneider looks exactly like he did.
Yeah,
he doesn't have like a mustache now or anything.
No, and he's tall and blonde and good looking and
the tight jeans.
Yeah, and he looks and so he goes into the bathroom, and I nobody else saw him but me, and so I turn around and I tell Hans and Jeff, that was John Schneider that just went into the bathroom, and let's follow him in. And they're like, well, no, let's not do that.
Let's go and take a picture of his dick.
Yeah, no,
they did not say that.
I said, you know what? I told him I give him, a little, hey, what's up, John Schneider? And he gave me a little, hey, what's up? Thanks for recognizing me, but not making a big deal out of it is what I think it was. So, so I'm like, well, I'm not going to watch the bathroom door for John Schneider to come out because that's weird. And Jeff goes, oh, I will. So Jeff turns around and he's like watching the door, and pretty soon I see Jeff and he's like kind of doing the pee-pee dance, but I know what's going on. And so John Schneider comes walking out of the bathroom, for God's sakes, and I give him another, hey man, coming out of the bathroom.
It's funnier if you tell him that you chased him down.
No, I want to tell the real story because it's just fine. And so he comes walking over and he shakes my hand and he says,
"You just washed it."
Yeah. He says, "Don't worry, I just washed it." And I said, "It wouldn't matter if you didn't."
Because I know you've been watching me go in the bathroom.
Yeah, because you followed me in. Yeah, and he's like, "So what do you got here?" And by then I'm like, kind of tongue tied because I was cooler as the guy that knew who John Schneider was, but didn't make a big deal out of it. But now I got to kind of make a big deal out of it. Yeah,
you like Santa?
Yeah, so basically that's exactly what I did was, well, we make guitars and we make them in Matt's shop in Colorado. And he grabs, I think it was the green one, and he's like holding the neck because he can play guitar. I've seen him. And he's like, yeah, these look really great. And he goes, I really like this finish. And I go, well, that's fabric. And we do a seal. And he goes, yeah, that's a real nice treatment.
That's a real nice
And then he turns, he's like, well, really appreciate it. And he turns and he sees the Firebird with the leather pickguard and he goes, oh man, that's really cool.
Oh, he didn't say it like that. He was more, hey man, that's really cool.
No, I don't think he did.
Like it was sort of like between Elvis and Chris.
No, he was like kind of puffed up a little bit.
He was fairly smooth and has a kind of a drawl.
Can you imagine being John Schneider?
No.
Everywhere you go, and everybody's going, hey, look, it's Bo Duke, So anyway.
Okay, let me tell you guys what really happened. He comes out of the bathroom and he like slides over the table a la over the General Lee.
Yeah.
And then he's rocking stuff out. At one point, he's shooting dynamite out of a compound, but all right, none of that. But he was there.
Yeah, and so then
it might be that's kind of the only dude that I saw that I'm like, oh, that's that guy.
Oh, there was a couple others.
I didn't
I
see.
got other stories.
Do you?
Yeah, and so he leaves, and your sister's there.
Oh yeah.
And I say,
no, my sister is 13 years younger than I am.
Yeah.
Never watched the Dukes of Hazzard,
No.
and if she did, it was on a rerun many years.
Yeah. So she so she comes up and she's like, who was that?
That's a hot old guy.
And I said, oh, that's John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard. And she's like, from the Dukes of Hazzard, and she runs off.
Yeah.
And then she runs back and she's like, I got to get my picture taken with him, but I forgot my phone. So she grabs her phone and she runs back with her daughter and comes back with a picture of her and Bo Duke. Yeah. And she says, well, I didn't care about that. I just cared that it was a good looking older guy.
Good looking old dude.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah.
But it's Bo Duke.
I didn't get my picture of, yeah.
No one wanted their picture taken with us.
Well,
how about this? No chicks wanted their picture taken with us.
For those celebrity kind of guys, I mean, that's all he has. That all day long, that's all he does is picture. So it's like,
which has got to be one of the reasons.
Try and approach them like normal, regular people, I guess. I don't know.
It's got to be one of the reasons that Brian was like, "Here's some good places to hide in Nashville."
Yeah.
So, we talked with Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum, and didn't do a video with him that day, but did a video with him the next day, and that was fun. I hope that comes out pretty soon.
Vamp Matt.
Man, that's gonna be hard for me to talk because I just yak. A lot of people would come up to me and ask me how the show was going, and because I had not done a NAMM show before, well, I have no idea what to expect, so I don't know how it was going. I was also told that you kind of have to see what happens 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months after the show is over before you can really decide, how the show actually went. But by the second day, we were still having a lot of fun. Again, not getting, anything that would lead me to believe that we were in the wrong spot at our trajectory as a company. So yeah, I still feel really good about the show, and I feel good right now about the show too. But when people ask me, well, hey, how was it? The answer is I really don't know, and I probably won't know until some of the dust settles a little bit. So let's see. So after the show kind of wrapped, the shows go from 10 to 6, and man, I tell you, it's really hard on my feet because I'm not exactly a young guy anymore. So for me to stand up all day is kind of tricky. But we ended up going to this place. I forget what the name of the neighborhood is that it's in, but it's called Fleet Street Pub, and Brian took us there.
Printer's Alley.
Printer's Alley?
Yes.
So yeah, so it's in this, like, if you are a tourist, you're gonna someone's gonna have to tell you about it, and you're gonna have to seek it out. Maybe, I don't know, maybe, I'm sure it's on like one of those, like, hey, when you're in Nashville, you got to check this out.
Yeah, not necessarily.
But I've been
Printer's Alley, but that bar.
But I've been to Nashville before, and I had not been to Printer's Alley. So I'm not gonna say it's a top secret thing, but it was pretty. It was pretty secrety. So yeah, you got to. You're in an alley, and then you go through another alley to get to this bar. And it's sort of a British pub. But so we went there with Brian and Ryan, and Ryan and I decided he was rocking cutoffs. And so we decided that if he says, if you wear cutoffs tomorrow, I'll come and do a video with you, and we'll show off our cutoffs. So I did, and he did. But so we had some drinks with them. Then we went, and my friend Carol, who lives in Dixon, Tennessee, came and had dinner with my sister and my niece and Chris and I, and that was really fun.
It was
good to catch up with people that I haven't seen for a long time.
Yeah.
So that was an awful lot of fun. And then I was dead tired again.
Yeah.
Oh, so the Printer's Alley place was a hike to get there.
A little bit.
And did I tell you how hot and muggy it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was all uphill.
It
really was. And yeah, but we got to walk by the Ryman Theater, which I thought was pretty cool. And
did we? Because I was
absolutely.
Just bitching and belly aching the whole time. I didn't.
I was
Ryman, what? It's hot.
I was pretending that I wasn't getting winded or sweaty, it was mostly sweaty.
Yeah.
Walking and talking with Brian,
And
who is
fucking
like,
Nutter has a
you
leather
know,
vest on the whole
yeah,
time.
but he's like he's more local, and he grew up in Virginia, so
Oh, that's right. He's like, I'd mow my lawn in this.
yeah, he did,
Bullshit,
yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah. I
mow
said,
my
how
lawn
big's
in
your
that.
lawn? 20 acres.
Yeah.
Okay, shut up,
Yeah.
dude.
You're riding a tractor when
Yeah.
you do that.
The other thing is, and we're getting a little bit of comments on some of this stuff, and I
Mhm.
knew this was the way it was going to work. You are dead tired by the time the
Yeah.
day's over because you're on your feet the entire time, and I'm on my feet all day long here in the shop and other jobs and that.
But it's different because you're on. You
Well,
have to be
mentally you're on,
Yeah.
and you're also, it's this weird floor that's not soft but
Mhm.
not hard, and I wore a blister on my foot,
Yeah.
and I'd wear those shoes all the time.
If it wasn't for Chris smuggling beers in and out of the show, we had a cooler full of beer in the car, and
Yeah.
he had this little box with that was like from Office Depot, and he'd sneak out and sneak in beers for us. And yeah,
6 at a time, 4 or 6
Mhm.
at a time,
Mhm.
depending on what time of day it was, because they didn't want them to get warm.
And if you were there at exactly the right time, you could have had
You
beers
can
with us.
participate. Yeah, exactly.
So a handful.
Yeah.
So Brian had a beer with us. Ryan had a beer with us. Eric
Yeah.
from Seymour Duncan had some beers with us.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's another thing. So Seymour Duncan might be a thing that we get to. We've got a couple things brewing. One is with Seymour Duncan, and one is with DiMarzio. I was very, very happy that Maria from DiMarzio came by the booth, and she's like, "I see you using super distortion pickups." And she was so cool. She's worked at DiMarzio for 40 years, she says. And so she knows Larry.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't know Larry. She knows Larry. And so she was great to talk to and really cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that because I'm a huge DiMarzio fan.
Yeah.
As anybody knows me.
So the funny thing is, certain guys walk up to you and they're like, oh, what kind of pickups? But that's never the first question. And this little lady walks up, and that's literally the first thing she says is what kind of pickups are these?
Yeah.
And I said, oh, well, these are our pure juice pickups. And she's like,
but we had stuff from Lawler and Seymour Duncan,
but it really depends on what somebody wants, and we use this guitar has Lawler, this guitar has DiMarzio's, and then I look down at her badge and it says DiMarzio on it. It said, oh well, here's a guitar with DiMarzio's, here's another guitar with DiMarzio's, and I tell her the story of Matt thinking that or knowing
or recommending that
recommending the one and truly the only one,
the one true and holy pickup,
is the Seymour Duncan or the DiMarzio Super Distortion. And she finally tells me, well, I do sales for them, and I used to work for them, and I used to wind for them. I'm one of the original winders, and I've been working for them forever.
She's the Abigail Ibarra of DiMarzio.
In a lot of ways, she kind of is.
I mean, if her story is 100% true, I would say it is. Right?
Yeah. So then she says, well, we can work something out, I'm sure, and get a hold of me.
So I'm looking forward to working with Maria from DiMarzio. Maria.
It was Marie.
Yeah.
Marie.
Really, really nice lady.
Yeah.
But everybody that we talked to was really cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. But that's one of those things where you kind of, because you certainly don't expect that kind of question from a lady that's in her, whatever.
Sure. Yeah. If you if she didn't have a badge on that said DiMarzio, you would be like, well, who's this lady?
I thought it was just some lady kind of
busting balls.
Yeah. Like what is, what, like she knew some lingo or something. I don't know. And then
as it turns out, she knew more than some lingo.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And the other weird thing is younger people would come up to us and recognize us from YouTube, and they'd come up with these big grins, and they'd be like, I watch your videos all the time. I started rewatching them. I like them so much. And you're like, oh, okay. Because I kind of always expect everybody to be older, kind of like us. Yeah. So that was cool. I really enjoy those moments.
So the second day was definitely great, and I was definitely tired. And when we showed up on Saturday, it was a very, very different mood at the show. It was like there was really no emphasis to get there right away for all the vendors, and we show up and we're like, oh, one more day.
Yeah. Because it's really hard, and you don't have a whole lot of time to do anything else. And by that last day, you're just like, okay, this is my new life. you know,
Yeah.
standing here talking about and
Yeah.
telling the same story over and over and over. And the number one story is, why Texas toast? Or
Yeah.
you're in Colorado?
Yeah.
Wait, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And so you'd
So
have to tell
tell
that.
the story.
Mhm.
You tell the same story over and over and over again to
Mhm.
everybody.
And Matt likes to embellish that story
Mhm.
a little bit.
It's a little different every time.
Every
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Yeah.
So the last day was great. The last day was actually the busiest day of the show.
Yeah.
And we had the most people come by the booth, and the best response was far and away on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody really liked our stuff. Some of the guys from the MIT school. Oh, by the way, the while we were at the Printers Alley Fleet Street place, one of Brian's day group students was there, and I can't remember his name, and I'm really, really sorry I can't remember your name, but I know that I want to catch up with you. Send me an email if you watch these. Send me an email, and let's talk about some of those tools that you wanted to talk about. And if not, if you don't, I'm gonna well, if that person isn't watching, I'll send something to Brian and have him give him my email address. So, but yeah, so those guys came by the next day, and the guy in the night class, Mike, came by, and it was really great to just talk and hang out with these people. Whether it was, you know, someone who has been winding pickups for 40 years or someone who's just starting to build guitars, we met so many great people and had such a great time interacting with people and just kind of, you know, getting the word out that we're around and we're there. We gave out a buttload of genuine stolen parts and powered by Coors stickers.
Yep. Yeah.
Gave out a bunch of business cards with, by the way, the business card has the shop number on it, not my cell number. So you can't text the number on the business card.
Yeah.
Which we found out later when we were talking to Philip McKnight that's the way he does business, is through text. So he texted the number on the card. I'm like, don't have it. And I'm like, well, maybe he doesn't want to. Yeah, maybe. So as it turns out, it's just I didn't even realize it had the shop phone number on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Philip McKnight came by and hung out with us for a little bit.
And he's a cool guy, and
Yeah.
he took the time to stop, which was nice.
And we broke balls on Phil McKnight for a while too. We're like, hey man, we know we're not really getting sued by Gibson. He goes, oh no, Cheddar Kung Pao told me that maybe he thought that we might be. And
he's like, I'm the news and he's the source, and it's my job to
but it was good fun, and so it's good to meet some of these people in person that you talk to and you talk about, you know.
Yeah. And he said the guitars looked really great, and they looked like factory finishes, which I take as the highest compliment.
Me too.
Yeah. So that's neat.
One of his biggest things, and he is not alone in this, given the number of comments that we have on the bridges. So everybody said that the Texas Toast bridges were really cool, and that was another good thing.
That is really neat, because in a lot of ways, the people that come by the shop here are, I don't want to say lukewarm, but kind of lukewarm to the idea, or it takes quite a while for them to warm up to the idea.
For example, Bart doesn't want one on his, and I'm like, I don't know why.
Yeah. And everybody
but Chris
that looked at
Flip Side wants one.
Yeah, but everybody that looked at it was like, well, this is different. Tell me about this.
Yeah.
And that was one of the stories that we told over and over again, in a good way.
Yeah.
You know, oh yeah, well, we make these, and this one's titanium, and this one's stainless steel, and this one's chrome covered brass. We have it chromed right here in Nashville.
Yeah.
Oh, advanced plating. Yeah, I love that place, or whatever and people really, really dug that part of it. Man, look how thick it is. And oh man, I bet this sounds oh, I didn't even notice the ball ends are hidden. And that was really cool, because
that's one of the things that, like, the unfortunate bit is I'm still got my eyes peeled for machinists. And I know there's some people who've said, hey Matt, I do machine work, and let me know if you want me to do one for you. And so I will be reaching out to you guys for that stuff.
What else happened on Saturday? I saw John Oates.
Oh, that's right.
He was giving a songwriting seminar, and it wasn't blocking our view, but it might as well have been blocking our view. It was one over and
or
in front of
blocking
us.
Everyone's view of where
it was this big. They have guest speakers, and he was giving a lecture.
So one thing that didn't happen that I know of is Jamie Gale from the Electric Guitar Builder boutique whatever show didn't come by. Now he said that he walked the show in the mornings and looked at stuff, but I bet you he didn't come by.
Yeah, you know, and really,
and everybody knows my feeling about that guy. I
guy-
was nice to him. I was cordial, but yeah, I would rather have a shitty booth at NAMM by myself than have a place at his thing.
yeah, yeah, and yeah,
just about
yeah.
everything at the
Mhm.
just about everything at the summer show last week at the boutique thing was an art piece. Now,
Mhm.
could you play it? Yeah, but there
Yeah.
weren't a lot of,
Yeah.
you know, it was like the artsy, the fartsiest and the artsiest were at the summer show. You know what I mean? Whereas, I think if you're a boutique builder, you can get into the winter one, but that's pretty much where it
Yeah,
ends.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
You don't, in other words, you don't have to have like, you know, a guitar with a crazy contraption on it or made out of a, you know, block of, you know, a moissanite or something to get onto the thing like you seem to do in the summer show. Although Cower had some stuff there, and
he was the only guy that had 2 guitars in the booth that I saw.
Okay, yeah, there was a lot of neat stuff there, and I don't mean to disparage anyone who had a guitar at the Boutique Builders Showcase because they were all awesome. I do mean to say that Jamie Gale is kind of a pompous turd.
In some ways, the boutique thing is almost like an artisan display. It's almost like I'm going to make this guitar, and I'm only going to work on this guitar until it's done.
And it's
boutique
got Jamie Gale all over.
Well,
the thing,
and
so
boutique is maybe the
guitars.
wrong name for what that is, because there's lots of boutique makers that make more than a couple of guitars, and some of those things, I mean, they're art.
Yeah,
they're playable art, and we're kind of not that.
So, Chris, what was your final reaction to the NAMM show?
Well, let me tell my final celebrity celebrity story.
Sure.
So Saturday morning before the show started, you know, so 9:50, I decided I'm going to walk through the Fender booth, and I looked at all the Fenders, and they look good. If anybody's interested in the Ventera series, they look great, and they have a new amp, and I listened to that some, and I look over, and there's John Mayer, and so I wander over and I say, "You're John Mayer, right? Are you from Georgia? Do you like Buckethead?" And he said, "Go away."
He said, "Beat it."
Yeah, beat it, kid.
And then like a bunch of big guys with bulges under their left arms shooed you away. Yeah.
And it really was John Mayer, but I did not talk to him, and I barely looked at him.
That guy
I was like,
really
"Oh, that's
tall,
John Mayer." Yeah, that's how I knew it was him, because every time I see him, it's like, in some ways I think he's getting younger.
I remember when he did that thing with Dave Chappelle where they would like do like they break into like a restaurant and like start rocking out.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle must be really tall too, because because John Mayer looked like he was like 5'10", because I just figured Dave Chappelle was, you know, like an average guy, but they're both really tall guys.
Probably, yeah. And he's not not that anyway.
But anyway,
he does not like Buckethead.
He doesn't like Buckethead.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I also meant to say, there were several people. One of the things at the NAMM show is that you have to cut people off a lot if you want to grab the attention of somebody walking by. And I want to apologize in advance for doing that to everybody that I did that to. So one that immediately springs to mind was the guy from MIT who's in Brian's night class. Mike was there with his daughter. And we were talking, and Philip McKnight walks by, and he's turning the corner, and he's like gonna walk right. He's walking away, and I'm like, "Hey, Phil McKnight!" And I had to cut Mike and his daughter off mid-sentence, and I know I did that a lot this week. And guys, it was really, I'm there to, you know, to spread interest in my business, and I'm also there to talk and meet with everybody. Unfortunately, sometimes those two things collide, and I have to stop one very abruptly to start the other one. So if you took that personally, and I don't think anybody did.
I don't think anybody did either.
But again, accept my apology, please, because I did not mean to. I don't want it to seem like, oh, hey, I don't give a fuck about what you're doing. I'm going to try to, you know what I mean? And I think that I know that happened probably with, you know, people in my very, very tight circle. Some people that came out to see me, you know, and my sister and stuff. So, you know, a lot of that shit was just me kind of playing the role. And it'd be very, very different if it wasn't everything on the line. So anyway,
yeah, and this
it's only so much show. Yeah,
there's only so much show. This is our first time doing it. It's you gotta and it was in a lot of ways it was way different because I've been to a million trade shows.
Yeah.
You've been to them on both sides.
Yeah.
But I've never actually, I've always been the guy, the other side.
Okay.
And so this was, trying to engage people, trying to,
it's tricky,
but also try and be, not the super serious, guitar guy, that a lot of those people are at those things, or the non-personality, is difficult. And it was super fun. I had a great time, but it was different,
and it's overwhelming and it's exhausting. And it's everything blurs together. I would get text messages from people, "Hey, how's the show going? When are you coming back?" And I'm like, "In this many days." I don't know what day it is. I
don't know. Time just disappeared. For big chunks, and driving for 3 days almost was weird, and
I was exhausted when we got up yesterday morning. I was absolutely exhausted. I was beat up. I was hungover. I was sick. I was everything. I was not having fun, and so that's just sort of the way it goes. How about this? I don't think I could have done another day. That Winter NAMM show is 4 days, and I don't know.
I think you could have done it, but you wouldn't want to do it. You'd have done it.
I could if I went home and went to bed at 8 o'clock every night. Sure. But we didn't do that.
Well, even if you show up and you just do that from 10 to 6, you still got to get out of there.
Yeah.
And you still got to get there a little early.
And Nashville is a nut house down there. It's like Friday and Saturday night. It was crazy to get out of that place.
Yeah. And
there's so many people.
Yeah. And it's just like, well, and the other thing, and it's a lot like playing a rock and roll show for 8 hours, and then you're done. And you got to come down from that a little bit. And how do you do that instantly? You can't just go, okay, that's it.
You drive back to the hotel and you sit in a really hot bar and drink. And that was.
You need to do something to kind of chill out.
One of the
next
potential
thing you know, it's 10 o'clock.
One of the potential problems is there is a severe shortage of decent Mexican food in Nashville. You know what I mean? Now, if you want barbecue, or you want fried chicken, there's places with lines around the block that are so good. But if you want, one
of my favorite things was we ate at the same place accidentally 3 times. There was a place right near the convention center that we had dinner the first night before we went and saw Brian.
Good,
and it was good. And then Saturday we went to a place, and you noticed the menu was exactly the same. Identical. It was a different location.
It was the Pickle Flight place.
Different. Yeah, it was called something different. But it was exactly the same. It was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then we went there the next day for breakfast. So the first,
and we went there the next day for breakfast on account of it was convenient.
Yeah, and the next, so the first 4 meals we had 3 at the same.
3 of them at the same
sort
joint.
of, which is hilarious because because people are like, oh, you need to go here and you need to go there and do this and do that and really at some point it's just I don't have time to get there. I gotta, I just need to eat and chill and be. So
we met so many great people. We had so many great experiences, and I, thanks to everyone who watches and supports this channel, we were able to do it without going in I say going into the poorhouse, but without me having to put it all on my credit card. We were able to do it. And everybody really, I haven't even added up all the receipts yet, but it was very humbling to get so much assistance from all of you guys and having you guys help us out. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I need to go through my my GoFundMe list and tell you guys what you paid for. Hey,
the funny part about that is nothing is more important than anything else. But hey, thanks for paying that $3 toll for that 15 miles. No, but
all that stuff adds up, and it adds up fast.
It really does, and it's just an outpouring of money every time you go and do one of these things, and you think you can do it on the cheap, but you really can't. And I know we couldn't have done it without everybody that chipped in.
No, there's no way.
No, and
There's no
if
way.
we'd said, yeah, let's do it on our dollar, we wouldn't do it. So that's really awesome that everybody helped us out and did that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a blast. I had so much fun, and I met so many people, and I learned so many things. These things are, as much for me, as much fun as learning and hearing, what people are looking for. And yeah, it's like a year's worth of education in 3 days,
crammed into 7 days.
Yeah.
You probably also learned that if you don't like humidity, you might not want to move to Tennessee or Arkansas.
Yeah.
Or Kansas.
It's
not that you didn't know that already.
I think and I think at some point I might be able to get used to it. But your friend Carol, our friend Carol, has lived there for
6-7 years.
Yeah, and she's still not used to it. She's still like, I don't like the humidity. So I don't know. Yeah,
it was great in the air conditioning.
Yeah,
well, it was just when you had to go outside.
Yeah, and I do enjoy the atmosphere of those places. It's way more chill than it is here.
Is there any reason to go to the Winter NAMM show? Not to exhibit, but just to go.
Oh, I don't
probably because there's more stuff, but you got to seek it out.
But I do such a poor job of looking at a lot of that stuff, and I ran around and did some looking at this one. If you don't really have any interest in some of this stuff, then why are you looking at it? So and you're getting ideas. Okay, so
getting big ideas.
Yeah. It was
I'm gonna switch to the other thing here and see if I can. Are there any comments that we need to address here?
What time is it in Colorado? It is
3 o'clock.
3:06 p.m.
Who
El Rondo.
El Rondo. He's in Germany, I think.
Yeah. So what were some of your favorite things?
One of my all-time favorite thing was getting to see a bunch of people that I don't get to see very often, especially my sister and my niece.
Yeah.
I know everyone's gonna say, "Oh, it's not because Matt's got a dude crush on him."
That might be me now.
Yeah,
because that dude is cool.
He's cool, man.
Yeah. And it was really nice of him to, because I mean, every time he walked by the booth, he'd stop and talk and yeah, I mean, he's just a really good guy. And he took us out and showed us, the cool place to be, and walked with us and answered questions and hung out with us on Saturday as everybody was loading out, because it's like this mad rush. So he just comes over and sits down. He's like,
that was really
a little while.
The only time that we had to hang out with Brian, because he's getting bummed. You just want to like hang out with me.
What I can. I mean, it's
kind of in the middle of the day for everybody to
No.
Oh, here we got 4 thumbs down. That's cool.
So dumb.
Oh, 420. It's party.
It's 420. Yeah, Matt, we do okay with beer. And the funny thing is, and it's not that I minded it, but like without stopping. And I was even thinking that last night. That
because we had 5 hours from Hayes, right?
Well, and yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but we got up today and we started driving, and today it was probably the if
yeah.
But car, I can still like feel the road. And
any more video. And like I said, we had camera issues. We had a bunch of jive stuff happen. Live podcast immediately, and then that way, so.
Sunday. Because every day I was mixed up. Oh, and on the way out, get there, and I was like, my phone wouldn't update time, and the clock in your car was bouncing. Yeah, we didn't know. So.
But anyway, take in the description. Who 40 minutes of watching that. Guys, thanks for all your support, and I will be back this week with more videos. Go back to work in the shop.
Did you talk about cycle hum video that you did?
I talked a little bit about that. So let's talk a little bit more about all the YouTube stuff.
Okay.
Ben Coombs has a video that he's going to be helping us out with, and it was Paul. Did anyone from Gibson come up and go, what? Fuck, man. At many points in the day, people from not get
He was
No,
like,
maybe.
oh, that's neat. Okay. And they kept walking.
We were asked by numerous people, aren't you afraid Gibson's, you know, that Modern, that's my guitar. I made that for me. I'm dude.
Mm-hmm.
The dudes from Gibson say, you guys gotta do this. About Gibson, and I said no. Another guy who got a